first time it was my daughter. I introduced myself just now. So hopefully the speech that I provided is going to go a little better than that. I don't speak often in front of people, but when I have, I've enjoyed it actually. And I'm going to start off by telling a little bit about myself, and I'll even share that moment that I really spoke to a large amount of people, also with a cause in mind. And that's what has brought me to Flint. I come from Holland, Michigan. I grew up there. I went to college, and I traveled all throughout the world, and I ended up meeting a life partner, my ex-wife. She's now my ex-wife, but she was from the Netherlands, and we traveled all around the world, and we ended up back there to study. And that was during the financial crisis, and that led me to think about what I'm going to do in society for my job, as I was just wrapping up my undergrad, and I decided to study finance. I did so in a program that was in the Netherlands and Sweden, and I studied finance not to be part of the same system, but to understand the system in order to bring about some positive change so that people would not be harmed. So I studied microfinance, ended up getting an internship at a Dutch bank, and it went very well. I ended up doing multiple projects with them after my internship, and all surrounding microfinance. And I don't know if any of you know what microfinance is, but it's typically small loans for those in developing countries. So think of being able to provide a $25 loan to average loans for them would be just a couple $100, enough for them to be able to buy some chickens, etc., to be able to expand their business or to provide for their family in a better way. And it's created positive effects for a lot of people that have been ignored by the finance industry in general. As I was wrapping up those studies, those projects, that was part of the study too. I started researching impact investing, and that led me to crowdfunding as well. And crowdfunding is a relatively new thing. You can think of GoFundMe, but crowdfunding, you can do so for donations, GoFundMe. You can do so with loans, Kiva for microfinance, but also equity has opened up, where you can think about a small restaurant in this town. It is actually illegal for a restaurant to solicit an investment offer to expand their business. They have to go to the bank, or they have to go to accredited individuals, those that are worth $1 million or more. Everyday people were excluded from that, but that changed in 2016 through a new law. So I started CrowdRipple, and CrowdRipple brought me back to the States, and I started developing it and getting the word out there about CrowdRipple. Long story short, that brought me to Flint, Michigan as the first stop in my campaign to implement CrowdRipple. I ended up dropping CrowdRipple, and now here I am. So that's going to be the second part of the story. What on earth made me drop everything I studied for to be part of Asbury? And it's Asbury CDC, Asbury Community Development Corporation. So I'm just going to refer to it as Asbury CDC to make it easier. But so my first stop, I traveled all over the world. I have gone to hostels often, and I don't know if you know what a hostel is, but think of a hotel, but where you actually engage with the other guests, and they have places where you can all have dinner together. It's very nice. They don't have that here in the U.S. So I was like, well, I'm about to travel all throughout the U.S. How am I going to do this? And engage with people more than just being in a hotel room. Well, couch surfing. And couch surfing, I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a website where you can just tell people about yourself, and you can put out there, hey, I want to go to Denver, And you can put that out there, and you can also, or I want to host a person, and this is a little bit about me. And so I found somebody in Flint that was couch surfing, providing a place. And I asked for 2 weeks. I told a long story about who I am, similar to what I just told all of you, and my purpose. And my purpose was to do a crowdfunding campaign for Flint surrounding wells. There's clean water that you can actually get to, and it's legal to do so. So I thought maybe that could be a solution, so I came to Flint to see about it, expanding that thought. And I knew there was a lot of bottled water, but what about a real solution, a permanent solution for individuals to be off of this poisoned city water that they might not be able to ever trust again because they were lied to about things. So this individual let me stay for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying with him for 3 months. And maybe even longer, to be honest. He was a very, very interesting individual. He was into permaculture and a little bit of a hippie type, but all about sustainability and arts. But he showed me around Flint. He showed me all the art stuff that they had there, which is actually pretty impressive. They have a Flint art walk. So I still go to those. It's every month, and it's a blast. But he introduced me to the community, and he also drove me through the community, and he drove me through the east side of Flint. And I'll tell you, I've traveled all around the world. I've seen a lot of things. But the closest thing to what I saw on the east side of Flint would be Eastern Europe, war-torn cities. And that's the closest thing I could think of. It was horrible. Burnt down houses. You might as well think that there was bombs exploding on the east side of Flint. But this individual that's from Flint that I stayed with, he had such a positive outlook towards the future of Flint, and he was very interesting in that way, just the character of him. And I decided to stay longer in Flint because of him and his vision, and his name's Eric. But I decided to get my first house, and I got it on the east side of Flint, and I got it for $1,500. It had no pipes. It had all been stripped, so no water. But I've traveled all over the world. On the mountains of India, I had a bucket shower every day, so I could easily manage while I was fixing up that place to get by. And I just thought, well, I'm still living better than a lot of people in this world, even with that setup. So I then ended up identifying a house that was already fixed up. I saw that people were moving. I saw that it was owned by a land bank. And I got this one for $2,000. But I also bought, with that house, I bought half a city block for $100 a lot. And then by my house, I bought another 8 lots. So over 20 lots I bought with this. I had to go in front of the land bank. During that time that led up to that, I did lease the land already, and I was starting an urban farming project. I called it the Flint Farming Project initially. And I went in front of the board, and they're like, yeah, we've seen what you're doing there. We like this, and they approved it right away. Whereas Habitat for Humanity was looking to buy a building, and they had a 20-minute back and forth session. So I felt good about that. I'm sharing that because the city officials really liked what I was doing. And so I kept on going with that, and I was thinking about starting as a cooperative and getting other individuals. And some people were saying, well, why don't you start your own nonprofit? I was like, no, I want a sustainable business. That's what I want to, I want something that people can invest in. And I thought about how to approach it. And I also said, I don't want to start my own nonprofit. There are so many nonprofits in Flint. I would much rather partner with a nonprofit and empower them. I'm new to the community. It's not my place to start something new and compete with individuals. So who do I want to partner with? Well, who did I see throughout that community? Not many people. but I did see these park benches with Asbury written on them. And I heard about Pastor Tommy and the work that he was doing. I only heard good things. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go meet Pastor Tommy. And I didn't call him and say, hey, can I have a meeting? I went to church. I went to his church and sat and just listened to his sermon. And I liked what I heard. I introduced myself after service, and we got to know each other. And we've been working together now for, well, I was here. So I always go back to, okay, how old was my daughter at that time? I look through my daughter now, and she's out back there. She's going to be 4, July 14th. So I've been working with Asbury for about 6, 7 years now. And it's been wonderful to see the growth. And it really has been a lot of growth since we partnered together. I sold all the land that I had to Asbury for the cost of what I had bought it for. Now it's 3 times as much. If you want to get a city lot, it costs over $300 for one. But it's amazing what we're doing together. They had 1 hoop house before I arrived, and now we have 17. And we grow over $200,000 worth of produce just on our farm. We distribute a lot more than that too, because of the partnership we have with the food bank and individuals. And we distribute. It goes through the health center. It goes to the soup kitchen. Individuals. We've delivered it. During COVID. We do try and sell some of it to create a sustainable business. But I was trying to get background of who I am and what Asbury, and bring that to what Asbury does. So I'm going to try and I'm done talking about myself. I want to talk about what Asbury's vision is. And it is more about myself. I share those values in the vision of Asbury. Pastor Tommy, he used to be a businessman, and I think that's one reason why it's also been so successful and why I still live in Flint, Michigan, because he's an inspiring individual. We have worked together in growing this farming project, but it's a lot more than that too. So Asbury, they really are trying to improve the health and wellness of the community, but not just physical health, but also mental. And it also means the financial health too for our community, because if you are in pure poverty, there are a lot of things you cannot do for yourself to be healthier. There's a lot of things that take place in a person's head when they're in poverty too. I mean, there's so many horrible things that go on in society because we don't think about our own health and other people's mental health. So Asbury focuses on health and wellness, and we do so, we communicate now to the public what we call Feed Flint, our Feed Flint campaign. And it is comprised of growing, distributing, and engaging. So the purpose is to grow, distribute, and engage, all to improve the health and wellness of our community. And we grow over $200,000 worth of produce. We distribute through the soup kitchen, through the health center, and we now have a new grant that we got. We got the first City of Flint grant last year, and it's for a community kitchen. So we're about to purchase a building that is only a block away from the church that used to be a local restaurant, and we're going to turn it into a community kitchen where people, and it's going to be, it is marked by the Flint Master Plan as a neighborhood center, and it's going to be exactly that, and it's going to be about health and wellness and engaging with the community. We're going to have to renovate that building a little bit. So we have a food trailer that we also got a grant for. and we're going to use that to test out the case. So we are looking at creating meal kits, and that's a missing piece at the farmers market too. So we're going to be distributing these at the farmers market, through our trailer, at our kitchen, and at the soup kitchen. We've been more or less doing a test pilot and bringing these meal kits to the soup kitchen and giving those meal kits out and taking surveys. We're hoping to be, I don't know if you've all heard of HelloFresh, but we're hoping to be a nonprofit version of HelloFresh, where HelloFresh is a service where you can subscribe and get meal kits delivered to you, and makes prep easier and gets food on the table quicker. And we're hoping to compete with that, but with the purpose of all our profit. We're hoping it will be profitable, but the difference between a nonprofit and profit is that a nonprofit, those profits go to the cause. So the cause for us is improving the health and wellness of our community. And so we're launching that through the trailer, and then we'll launch it with the kickoff of the community kitchen. So that's how we distribute. Engage, well, I mentioned poverty and how that can affect individuals and the ability to do what they would like to do for themselves, but also for their community. When you live in an impoverished community, individuals are trying to survive. They're not trying to do what their neighbors and themselves would like to see in the community. You don't see them mowing their lawns on the regular. You don't see them growing gardens. You see them working as much as they can, as in finding jobs. And individuals that can't find jobs, well, they find ways to make money too, and that's why the home I didn't buy, the home I bought didn't have pipes, because they're finding a way to survive. And I gotta hand it to them, they're very skilled individuals. They know how to break into stuff. we got a tractor stolen, $30,000 tractor stolen 2 years ago. Thankfully, there was insurance on it. And we got a trailer stolen, broken into, and all our farm tools were stolen. We have now figured out a better lock for that. And so since then, it's been okay. But my point is, when we engage with the community, you got to know your community. And what we know is there are individuals that have gifts, they have skills, but they also have problems. And so they don't have the time to help us. So our work is not a volunteer-led project. And that's because of the current situation in Flint. We can't just go to the community and say, hey, with your free time, can you help us grow food for our community? So one incentive that I came up with was something inspired by local currency. And I call it my Flintstones. So if you know Flint, those from Flint call themselves a Flintstone. So, one thing, I spent quite a bit of time just trying to get the pulse of Flint when I first came, because I didn't want to be selling my own solution. I wanted to get to know what other people are doing. And so we created My Flintstones, and what that is it's an incentive for individuals to engage with us. So an individual, I have quite a few stories about the success of this, and but there's this old man that would come by, and he often would beg me for a little bit of money here or there. He always had a story. And I suspected he was on drugs, and he was. And he actually just passed a month ago. But he was off drugs for the last year. So I did, but he might have had his problems, but I felt he was a good human being. And he came out, and he only had one lung. He couldn't walk well, but he would come out on the farm and he volunteered for My Flintstone. And he took that My Flintstone, and he then is able to get produce from us. food. So he just was inspired by it. But the point of it is my Flintstones is a way to engage and is an incentive. We would love to be able to just have our community do everything by themselves with their free time, but that's currently not the situation. We hope to grow into that. We also engage with our youth. We had 35, 40 youth last year, and those youth, they come from all over the city, but they get to do the planting, they do the distribution, and they'll participate in the health center and the soup kitchen, and then they also will go to the farmer's market. And we're actually growing quite a bit there and hoping CSMOT might partner with us in the spirit of workforce development. Because when you have individuals that have the skills, we're talking soft skills, but also skills to get a job, you can take that job and you can end up with a success story, or at least, I guess my background, I grew up in a poor family. On food stamps, 4 brothers and sisters. And I didn't think, I did very well in school, but I didn't think I could afford college. So I got a job in a kitchen and then had some rough years, but I said, enough is enough, and somebody said, well, why don't you go to school, go to university? You can do so through loans. So I went to university, and as a result of university, just taking that one step to get a better education, I've traveled all over the place, and I feel like I'm a success story in that. I might still be poor today, but I do own a home, and I do have a healthy daughter, so I am happy, and I feel successful in that. And what I do with Asbury every day means so much more than making big money at a bank or something. It means so much more to me. Because I'm happy. You can be rich, but you can also be rich and miserable. And I just like to be happy with the work I do. So back to how we engage. We do so with youth. Our farmer lives just 2 blocks away so he gets up in the morning and he walks to work, and he's part of our community. And we've had work through AmeriCorps and individuals volunteering that now are part of our farm staff. And it's a success story in that. So I think I've talked enough. I've given a good idea, I think, of who I am to all of you and what Asbury means to me. And I'm hoping that all of you understand what we're doing, and I'll be available afterwards for any specific questions. But I really appreciate the ability to be here and speak in front of you and share what Asbury does. It really is, it's feel-good work, and I see how it's changing the community. And I invite all of you to come out to the farm this summer. It really does look beautiful. We've got art panels up, and when it's all growing, it's abundance in July and August, and it's just beautiful. So, thank you.
Thank you.